what's new in HP Propel, transforming the IT consumption experience. My name is Robbie Clayamet, and I will be moderating the webinar for you. I am a SIGS co-leader for configuration management and service management. And today's speakers will be Vesna Soriak and CJ Johnson. Vesna is a senior product marketing manager with HP Propel, and CJ is the chief architect for Propel. Just a couple of housekeeping items to remind everyone of. This session is live and it's being recorded and will be available to all Vivit members on the website. And at the end of the session, we will have Q&A. So if you would type your questions in the panel at the bottom of your webinar controls, then we'll be able to get those questions set up and ready for answer. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to CJ and Vesna to begin the webinar.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for attending this webinar today. This is Vesna Soriak speaking. CJ, can we get the next slide, please? Let's try to get to the agenda slide. So as you know, this is a webinar talking about HP Propel, and in particular we are going to talk about new features and new benefits we introduced in HP Propel 2.0 and 2.01. Agenda for today: in the beginning I'm going to talk shortly about the most recent IT disruption that started happening in 2015. For everyone who is listening about HP Propel for the first time, I'm going to recap the HP Propel value proposition. We'll then also introduce you into what's new in our two recent releases. And following that, CJ, our chief architect, is going to give you a demo. After that, we are going to wrap up, and I'm sure we will have today enough time for the questions and for us to answer. So, why do we need to talk about disruption, and in particular disruption that really happened in 2015? Well, we are all witnessing a fundamental shift in life and in our businesses driven by technology. At HP, we talk about idea economy, and Gartner calls this a digitization of everything. What used to be physical is being replaced either by a product that's entirely computer-based, or if there is a physical device that is still needed, then for sure there is a computer application inside. Also, we see more and more companies that are succeeding to turn their bold ideas very quickly into new services or products because it's so easy. And they are doing this faster than their competitors. We also know why this is happening. Tools like cloud, mobile, big data analytics are so easily accessible and affordable, so it has never been easier for line of business to innovate. Here we listed some examples that no industry is really immune to the disruption. For example, Bosch is co-creating open software platform for smart homes. Santander is selling infrastructure as a service. They are offering storage capacity to smaller businesses, and they said, well, that they are following success of technology companies. Then we also have here example of IKEA of Sweden. IKEA already created a kitchen, a concept kitchen for 2025. And depending on the examples here, sometimes central IT was involved, but we also know that certainly there are examples here where when line of business entirely on its own developed these new services without really involving central IT. Our customers are telling us that they are embracing the idea of two ITs. One IT is traditional or central IT, the other is IT that sits inside line of business. We also sense that our customers do not talk about shadow IT anymore. We at HP call this core and fluid IT, and this is equivalent to Gartner's bimodal IT, or what McKinsey calls two-speed IT. Core IT still needs to offer slower development, but stable computing and solid security. And regarding the fluid IT, it's all about speed and agility because concepts are taken to market with rapid speed. And because this is now not the case, what's good, what's bad, who is old, who is new, it's just a matter that the business needs to learn how to implement both ITs in a correct way. It is very important to know that between these two ITs, the key will be bridges. We need efficient bridges, and one of them is the IT as a service broker, or establishing the true service provider, service consumer relationship between core IT and the fluid IT. Also, you can see here examples what the younger generations, what they consider as a good service. That means to ensure, and if you think about Amazon, we know why well Amazon is so amazing for all of us. So that means to ensure best service possible, we need one single front door to the core IT. And whether the consumers are, for example, developers from the fluid IT, or simply business users that need to order a new tablet, or that simply need a new share point space. So that means a service broker is one of the bridges between our two ITs, and service broker is a completely new role for IT. It is the fundamentally different and new operating model. Why it is needed? CJ, can you go to the next slide? We need to look as maybe one of the core aspects that belong to the to service brokering is putting the single front door to IT. Now, why is front door to IT so important? To make customers more satisfied, to really make them happy. And remember the Amazon example from the previous. IT needs to make its services easy to access and easy to use. And this is true for both flavors of IT. But if we concentrate for a moment on what core IT needs to do, this is among first things to ensure to capture 100% of demand of the users. And again, users are not only business users who need software or hardware, or the people that we need to onboard, but these users are now more and more developers, including developers in the enterprise, or also from the low-cost countries. So for everyone who is maybe familiar a little bit with Propel, this is the recap which is very important to introduce what HP Propel is about for everyone who is listening about HP Propel for the first time. HP Propel is HP software product that provides a single user experience, provides needed service brokering capabilities. It is really a product that is transforming delivery of IT services. There are 6 key components that are listed on this slide, and I'm going to spend a few minutes to explain them all a little bit more. So we are starting with a single portal, which ensures this single user experience. Remember, a single front door to IT, which means whenever end users need to interact with IT, they only need to access one single portal. Then the next is the aggregated catalog. Now, number 2 and number 3, we have aggregated catalog and we have systems of engagement. Maybe over time we will only talk about systems of engagement because catalog is a part. This is one type of the systems of engagement app. But we believe that catalog is so important and is so uniquely differentiating us that we well decided on this type of slides to spell this a little bit separate. So HP Propel is offering a single aggregated catalog. We are aggregating services from all underlying catalogs, and these underlying catalogs can be standalone or can be attached to their fulfillment systems like asset management, like ITSM, like cloud provisioning, software and hardware provisioning, user onboarding, and so on. I hope that everybody knows well why always it is needed to talk about service catalog a little bit more, because service really catalog is very important. Service catalog connects user requirements with available IT services, in particular cloud services. So if you want, service catalog defines the services that core IT is capable of delivering for the needs of the various users. Now let's talk about systems of engagement. Systems of engagement is the set of web-based and mobile apps which aggregate data from the underlying systems. And now you understand why aggregated catalog is one of these apps. That means systems of engagement will aggregate the data from underlying systems. These underlying systems can be service catalogs, can be knowledge sources, can be service desks, or many, many other systems, many other systems of record. Will bundle this data, that information, into microservice and will present to end users in engaging apps, for example, through the mobile apps. Using Propel systems of engagement is similar to using consumer apps. Users need zero training, and users have single app per activity. That means activities: order a service, submit a ticket, find knowledge, find some information, get IT news, chat with the agent. It is completely consumer oriented. Let's now move to the right-hand side, open integration. We are offering the component that we call Service Exchange. This is the middleware component which integrates the single portal and the systems of engagement with multiple fulfillment systems. This is one of the most important pieces that belong to HP Propel. One important use case which Service Exchange does address is the case exchange across the organization. For example, if your external suppliers are using different ticketing systems than your central IT, Propel Case Exchange can automatically synchronize and exchange tickets among these systems. And then last but not the least are the toolkits for bring your own app and bring your own integration. That means we are providing SDKs, software developer toolkits. One sort we call Jumpstart. Jumpstart is the SDK to modify portal, to extend the content of the portal. That means to create additional systems of engagement type of applications. And then the other SDK, we have how to extend the Service Exchange, how to create additional integrations with more systems of record. So this was, in short, what Propel does. What's really true HP Propel difference? There are three key differences. So first is that single front door to IT, which delivers single IT experience and one-stop shop for all services. This leads to increased user satisfaction, and as we know, user satisfaction cannot be ignored. This is becoming one of the most important KPIs for IT and the CIO. Second is systems of engagement through aggregation capabilities. And through systems of engagement and through aggregation, we are able to produce superior delivery speed and agility. This includes integrating a single catalog to multiple fulfillment engines, and the really here key capability we are providing is aggregation. Right now, we can aggregate service catalogs and knowledge articles from different data sources. We can aggregate the tickets. We can broker users' interactions with multiple help desks, with multiple service desk systems, and so on. And then the third is the brokerage of services and suppliers. It's about as well service exchange, and we have lots of pending patents on, in particular, on service exchange. This is type of the capability that allows you to bring best suppliers and their services into IT house on best conditions, for example, on price and service levels. Okay, so let's now see what's new in our two recent releases. HP Propel 2.0 is available since July of this year, and last week we released, that means 2.01 became generally available. The key release topics and some of the features are shown on this slide. That means themes were around transforming IT consumption experience, providing effective front door to IT, and increasing end user and administrators' productivity. So, for example, we revamped the user's experience. Page layout is now more modern. Navigation and search is better. You will see later that the offering page has more details. And we also, for example, improved the order on behalf. So if you now need to order on behalf of someone, you will get a list of people for which you are permitted to do this type of service ordering. That means it is now much easier and much quicker. We also are using HP Idle platform for search for knowledge and for support. And which means that this search is extremely fast. More use cases are on our roadmap. We embedded Idle engine into HP Propel. Since this summer, we are offering out-of-the-box integrations with BMC Remedy, with ServiceNow, with HP Operations Orchestration. We can also aggregate, for example, Service Manager support catalog. We introduced the cloud subscription app, and CJ, I'm sure he's going to show you this in a demo just in a moment. Then for the easier administration, we introduced the form editor for offerings, offering profiles, offering level entitlements, and diagnostics. As you know, HP Propel is created from microservices with built-in resilience, and that means Propel has many moving parts. Now, with the new diagnostics feature, we are allowing administrators to quickly see performance status of all components in the systems, for example, memory, deadlocks, service availability, request statistics, traffic, configuration checks, and so on. Then you will see later on, maybe in a demo, that detailed graphs will show you status of the interconnected systems, which reduce the time and cost of running HP Propel in production. For the end users, we enhanced the dependent dynamic option. So this is the feature we have from the day one since last year, but now we improved it a little bit. Now, for everyone who is not familiar what dependent option control, what this feature is, so dependent options are simply controlling progressive display of 4 elements when ordering from the catalog. Everybody, I'm sure, will maybe understand if I give you the example. Most famous example is if you click on a country, then you will get, you will be urged to select the province and then maybe to select the city. So that means this is something that's not configured statically inside Propel, but we are fetching this from the API or from a database. And now I will pass it over to CJ. CJ, please go ahead.
Some key feature that we brought in with 2.0 is the ability to support entitlements. So we have a good access control system and roles-based access control built into the catalog and offerings. But we also have the ability to have dependent dynamic options. This is an important capability that our customers have been asking us for, and we were really excited to bring this with 2.0. We also brought in a new support application. One of the things our customers told us is when they're using their front door to IT, they have two major use cases. Their customers are wanting to use their portal to get something new or get support on something they already have. So we wanted to really focus on these two use cases. To that end, we brought in a new support application. The support app gives us the ability to create and interact with tickets, both frontline tickets but also back-end tickets, and I'll show a little bit of that here in a moment. Another really cool capability there is we've integrated IDLE into the solution, and you'll see that that's bringing knowledge recommendations as part of the support application. The idea there is to help users self-solve their problem before even having to open a ticket if we can do that. So the IDLE search engine gives us some really cool capabilities there. The other ability, of course, is to route the support request based on some predefined criteria to assignment group or service. I'll show that here in a moment as well. We also have a new subscriptions application. For our cloud customers, they wanted a way to interact with the services that they had fulfilled. And with 2.0, we brought in the subscription application that allows you to get service instance details such as IP, hostname, things like that. And with 2.01, we brought in the ability to edit those subscriptions and execute service instance actions against them. So those are some really interesting capabilities. In 2.01, we also brought in some better administration capabilities that allow you to view the status of the application and see what's going on. All right, so with that, I'll hop over to the product and let's take a look. All right, so this is 2.01. The demo system I have here, I've logged in as the org administrator so that we can show some other new capabilities that we have. The org admin, of course, as most of you are familiar with, Propel has a roles-based access control system in the Launchpad that allows us to present a correct application based on my user context. For today, I'm logged in as the org admin, so I'm able to see the shopping subscription support as well as the ability to administer catalogs, categories, policies, connections, and suppliers. Suppliers is a new capability we brought with 2.01 as well. So let's start with the shopping experience. Okay, again, the first thing we'll notice when we open up the shopping experience is a new, clean user experience. It's got an entirely brushed up look, and we've brought in some additional capabilities around popular services, new services, but you can also curate these categories if you want to. You can create a featured service one, for example, or you can choose to let the system work with these, which are the popular and new, which are automatically generated. The other thing you'll notice here, of course, is the types of offerings that we have. In 2.0, we brought the ability to aggregate and fulfill offerings from Service Anywhere, ServiceNow, Service Manager. We can now aggregate and fulfill OO as well as CSA and Remedy. So the adapter configuration got quite a bit better and more advanced with 2.01. This is a fairly simple connection here that we have to this oath token. What I wanted to show here, though, is the dependent dynamic fields. So this happens to be an OO flow, but we've configured this to use dependent dynamic options. And what you'll notice here is that the fields, as I select this one and presented with new ones, and the content in each of these is determined by not only the fulfillment system that I'm plugged into, but also what was selected previously. And you'll also notice that the pricing is reflected different as I move through that. So again, a very clean experience for working with these, easier, and also presenting and using those dependent dynamic fields is a nice user experience. When I add it to the cart, naturally I can edit my cart, and we'll just go to checkout here. We can fill in some information here. We can attach files. This one doesn't have a terms and conditions turned on, but you can optionally enable that for the checkout process. Okay, so once it's submitted, it'll go ahead and submit an order to the system. That's a slight change over the previous paradigm of Propel. We now have a concept called orders, which makes just a little more sense when we're figuring out what the service fulfillment process is working like. Previously, everything used to be a subscription. That didn't really make a lot of sense. We felt it made more sense to consider orders, and subscriptions. So it's a new concept, and just a little bit logically easier to follow as an end user, and also easier to keep track of. So naturally, I should be able to get my order status. We can see metadata related to it, what's going on with it, the order state, and then of course we can view details on the request if there are any. This one happens to have an approval policy, it looks like. So it's pending an approval, and I can go in here, click this thing, and we'll be able to see what user the approval is pending upon, if there is a user for that. This happens to be just a user we've set up in the system to demonstrate approvals. If it was a real person, then we'd see their name and email address. So again, really nice way to see what's going on with your order. Our users have asked us frequently, they want to be able to see the status of what's happening with it, and they also want to see if it's blocked and pending on approval, who it's blocked and pending upon, so that action can be taken as a result of that. So again, nice, easy process for looking at the approvals and working with the new shopping experience. So at a high level, that's the new shopping experience for Propel 2.01. And like I mentioned, the adapters really give us a lot of new capability in terms of the type and breadth of offerings that we can aggregate and fulfill. So like I mentioned, in 2.01, we brought in the subscription capability as well. This is a key feature for our cloud customers and those that are integrated with CSA. We'll take a look here at the subscriptions. Let's see. System appears to not have subscriptions right now. We'll come back to the subscriptions in a moment and pull up a different system. So I'm going to switch over to the support catalog, and we'll take a look at the new support capability. So like I mentioned, in Propel 2.01, or in 2.0, we brought the new support catalog. The support catalog allows us to view, I'm going to switch over to a different system here. This one looks like it got some data wiped out on it. To This one's license has expired. So naturally live demos, this is how it goes. Bear with me just a second, and I'll switch over to a different demo instance. Fortunately, we have plenty of those. While that's happening, actually, I'll show you different some other features for 2.01 as well. So some of the capabilities we brought with 2.01 is more self-administration capabilities. So with 2.01, the system's better and easier to manage and maintain. Like I mentioned, we have a new suppliers interface. Previously, it was somewhat difficult to configure new suppliers in the system. For example, configuring a new ServiceNow or Remedy or CSA instance, you had to edit JSON files and work with those. That wasn't a really great experience, and also gave us challenges as we were setting up our HA deployments of Propel. So to solve that, we brought in this new suppliers user interface. And the supplier's user interface, our customers are really happy with. Makes it a heck of a lot easier to configure new systems, bring them on, give us the type. In this case, I have the adapters turned on for OO, CUSA, Service Anywhere, and Service Manager. So as you can see here, it's quite simple to get this thing set up and configured. All the parameters are in there, and good inline support for getting that going. So that's a new capability. Again, the other thing we brought in is the diagnostics user interface. So as you can imagine, integrating with a whole lot of systems has a lot of moving parts. And troubleshooting those was previously somewhat difficult. If you had 2 CSA systems and 3 Service Anywhere systems and or instances and a whole bunch of Service Manager instances, then it could be really difficult to see what was going on with them. To that end, we brought in this new user interface that monitors those and shows the status of them. Propel is also built to be resilient. So we've implemented circuit breaker patterns and monitoring across the stack. So you're able to see here not only how Propel is working, but how those back-end systems are working. And we can click on suppliers here, and we can see the status of those suppliers and what's going on with those in the different organizations and kind of how they work. This is a nice capability and gives us great information back in terms of how things are working with those end systems and what's going on with them. So troubleshooting is a lot easier. It's a nice, easy interface, and I can drill into each of these and get details on how they're all performing. So that gives us a lot of great options for working with the Propel system. All right, so while that's happening, I'm going to log into the other demo instance. Bear with me just a moment. Naturally, these live demos happen to usually give us weird trouble like this, so that's how it goes. All right, well, that other demo system is coming online. I'll talk through it briefly here to discuss, kind of how the support catalog works. So the support catalog has some interesting features there, which give us a lot of capability around creating that, front door to IT. The support catalog allows us to create tickets with whatever fulfillment engine I have plugged into the back end, and tickets can be dynamically routed to the correct fulfillment system based on my user context. So that gives me a lot of options around how I can connect to those tickets and how I can connect to the right operators. And again, being able to move through those, triage, and get those tickets to the right place quickly is really an important value for our customers. All right, so I should have another instance coming online here. Apologize for the slight hang-up on that. All right. So this system, like I mentioned, I've logged in as an end user at this point rather than org admin. And now I can go into my support catalog and have some options here. Okay, so when I search for printer now, I'm presented with aggregated offerings. And I can go into the offering here, start to work with it, open up the ticket. So when I submit that ticket, in this case, it's going to go ahead and connect it to the service manager instance that's connected to this. Obviously, that could be configured for any of the ones that we have turned on and enabled. You can see here all the tickets that we have been using here, and we can go in and take a look at how we're interacting with those. And we end up with a nice interface for interacting with those service desk administrators on the back end. We can get the status for the ticket, attachments, we can continue to have a conversation, and be able to move back and forth with those end users and operators. Again, really nice interface for being able to see what's going on with those tickets and support requests. So that's a new support catalog that we brought with 2.01. Sorry, that shipped with 2.0, and we enhanced it more with 2.01. If we have some subscriptions, and if not, we'll go ahead and create one here. All right, so these are the subscription interface that I mentioned. This gives us the ability to interact with those subscriptions. As you can see here, I can view, cancel, delete. I can now edit the subscription, whereas before I wasn't capable of doing that. And I can execute node-level actions against those subscriptions as well. So if there happened to be something that I could execute against this node, I could very easily do so from this interface. So that's some really important capabilities we brought with 2.0. I apologize for having to switch demo instances there, but hopefully you get the picture. Just to recap, with 2.01, we brought you a new shopping experience, a new user interface. We brought you the subscription microservice with the ability to interact with my subscriptions. We still have our knowledge capability, and we have a new request support capability. There's a whole slew of other features that make this thing work end-to-end, and overall the system has gotten more resilient, easier to deploy and maintain through the diagnostics and administration capabilities, and we've enhanced pretty much everything across the product. So we're bringing a lot of innovation constantly to the Propel product stream. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Vesna. That concludes my portion of the demo today. Thank you all for helping me out here.
After this, I suggest let's see what questions we have and how much I can answer, and what might be needed then to be answered through CJ via email.
Hi, Vesna. This is Robbie. Thank you for jumping in. Would you like to just start with the first question that's queued?
Yes, let me try to undock this.
Okay. So the first question, Vesna, tell me when you're ready.
Okay. Yes, okay. I'm ready.
All right. Do you see Propel competing with HP Service Anywhere, and what do you consider to be the biggest differences between the two?
Oh, so, well, the short answer is no. Propel and Service Anywhere have a very different use cases. You know, Propel is a service brokering solution. It is really is giving you this one single front door to IT, a single stop shop for all services, and Service Anywhere is the full IT service management product. So Propel, we are aggregating catalogs, we are aggregating knowledge, we are aggregating tickets from multiple systems, and also users from Propel, they can subscribe cloud services, and you cannot order any cloud service from Service Anywhere. So this is probably biggest difference. That means Service Anywhere has its only one fulfillment system, and Propel allows you to connect, to integrate with multiple fulfillment systems, and these fulfillment systems can be locally in your data center or can be at remote data centers, at your managed service providers, or also these services can be in a private cloud or can be also in public cloud. Go to the next question.
Thank you. Okay, and the next one is, what kind of adapters are provided out of the box?
Okay, so as of today, we are providing the adapters, that means integrations, first of all, for several HP products, like HP Service Manager, Service Anywhere, CSA, Cloud Service Automation. Also, we introduced last summer HP Operations Orchestration, and then for the third party, we are integrating with BMC Remedy, with ServiceNow, and with Jira. And then, you know, we have on the roadmap many more integrations to come.
Okay. I think this one probably normally would go to CJ, but I'm going to see if you want to take it. As a manager, can I not get indications that I have certain approvals pending?
Can I not get indications? I'm sure that this is possible. Well, definitely, a manager will get indication that there are certain approvals pending. The approvers have, in general, three possibilities how to approve requests. One is to go to Propel. The other is directly from the email, because if you choose this option, you will get the email, and you don't need to log in into any system. You can finish everything through the email. Or the third option is that you go into fulfilling engine from whatever reason. Maybe, you know, some people would prefer to do that. It means you can go to Remedy, you can go to Service Manager or to SO, and do the approval from there. Now, if the really question was whether you can not get, I'm sure, well, it is possible. That means if the approver would appreciate, I don't know, to go into the tool and then see the queue of pending requests there.
Okay. And if Snow has dynamic options for service or support requests, do we get the same in Propel, or is this the dynamic option for only items created within Propel?
Oh, for sure, we can aggregate. We can aggregate ServiceNow dynamic options. That means whatever they have defined, and whatever is, you know, can be fetched through the APIs, because this is how we are integrating. We can do that. I can't now maybe talk. Maybe there would be some very strange cases why this should not be possible, but, you know, in general, we can simply aggregate ServiceNow or also from Remedy this type of the dynamic options.
Okay. And who are the biggest current customers for Propel, and from which industries? And then the second part of that question is, those that are production already, what are they achieving with Propel?
Okay. So far, our largest customer is in the U.S. This is a large automotive manufacturer, and they're really big company. If I only maybe tell you that they have thousands and thousands of service items. They have only 200 service catalog categories. They are processing 10,000. It's more around 50,000 self-service requests every month. And what they really expected from Propel is to try to provide them true one-stop shop for all their users, and they have really lots of users. So with Propel, they got the master catalog. They improved the usability, they improved the user experience, and also they are now able to get the flexibility in their portal. They have lots of users. Everybody has its own unique needs and desires, and they can modify, they can personalize and customize our portal. So with Propel, they got really the true front end. Front door to IT, and again, this extension, customization, personalization was extremely important. Then I'll give you the other example of the other industry. Its industry is telecommunication. It is really a large customer, also from North America. Their primary need was to offload manual processing of requests from help desk, and also the other then requirement was to federate the traditional ITSM catalog, and in this case, their service manager customer with the cloud provisioning tools. So far, what they achieved is that they have a single enterprise self-service portal with a modern UI, because this is what customers said. They are now offering their users self-service across a range of IT services, cloud and non-cloud. That means from servers to really cloud services. And what's extremely important for them is that they reduce the number of manual requests that now their help desk needs to handle. Then the next maybe example of the industry would be service provider from Europe, which means that they have multiple customers and then many users from these customers. In their opinion, what ITIL was preaching a few years ago, that the single point of contact needed to be service desk, they said, well, IT single point of contact today is a portal. And they needed, well, to have one single portal, although that's a different type of customers are going to access this portal. Also, they wanted to provide interactive support to their users. It means online chat, and then they included also big data capabilities in Propel portal, self-help that users have, simply to have the collaboration type of the platform. What they achieved so far: increased customer satisfaction. They also reduced the cost and time in onboarding new customers, because they are service provider. This was important for them. Then they integrated cloud providers. In the past, they had to provide 3 different portals for the different cloud providers, and now they have one single portal. That means this multi-point integration and service exchange as the component was really key for them. Then I'll give you also maybe the last example is the federal agency from Australia. When we started talking to them, they said they really were looking to turn off the phones of their service desk. And so far, what they achieved that they have a single point of contact for IT requests, for knowledge, for tickets. That they have a single interface for their large IT service catalog. Now, they also know that they are going to be adding to have more and more services. And for them, one of the keys of what they will be able to achieve is fast onboarding of services. And as you know how Service Exchange is working, we are orchestrating delivery to multiple fulfillment systems. And they said, well, that now Propel is providing them a single platform and also catalog for shared services to other Australian government departments.
Wow. So next investment, is it possible to have more than one adapter in one flow?
I'm pretty sure that this is possible to be done, especially if you think about now that we are providing integration with operations orchestration. This is possible, although I will suggest that CJ will confirm and maybe to answer how this can be achieved.
Okay. And can you describe how Propel knows what back-end system the ticket should be routed to?
Okay, this works through Service Exchange. Service Exchange has kind of three parts. One of the most important parts or pieces of Service Exchange are these connectors, or in technical language are the adapters. And also we can define the business logic of the organization. When I say organization, this can be a group of people or can be simply individual. That means maybe I, as someone who belongs to product marketing, if I'm having a problem, then this needs to be solved through the service now. And maybe my colleagues in sales, maybe their tickets from whatever reason, they need to be solved through HP tool. Service manager. Now, we both, as the end users, we should not bother about these details. The Propel is, let's say so, Propel is intelligent enough, and they will recognize to which organizations we belong, or simply know how we are configured in the system, so that our request will be then routed to the right ticketing system. That we provide, or that we also provide SDK if the customer would like to develop something what we do not provide.
Okay, the next one. Can you help clarify the differences between Propel and Helium?
Well, I would really appreciate if we get CJ to answer this type of questions. So remember, in Propel, we can aggregate the traditional ITSM type of the use cases, and as well then the cloud. That means through Propel you can order your traditional on-premise type of software. You can order all kind of hardware, like mobile phones, like computers. You can also onboard new users and stuff like that. But we will need to go to CJ that he then maybe provides more detailed answer.
Okay. And maybe when we reschedule the demo, we can forward some of these questions to CJ also. In the meantime, can you tell us, would the full list of integrations with other tools be found on the HP support site?
Well, as far as I know, this is part of the support metrics. So if you can access this site where we have our standard manuals, I'm sure you know that this is part of the administration guide, but for sure a part of the support metrics. And then in the release notes, we will always put what additionally. I mean, please contact me if you have issues in finding this type of manuals.
Okay, and Jersey asked if you could tell us more about integrations with HP Service Manager.
Now, I'm not really sure what this question would be. Service Manager is the ITSM tool. We can aggregate service catalog from, we are aggregating services from Service Manager, including the support catalog. We can also aggregate the knowledge from the Service Manager. So I'm not really completely sure what this question is about. Therefore, I suggest maybe send me email to me or to CJ to provide maybe more details. What exactly are you looking for?
Okay, thank you. And I got a note that CJ is back, so I'm going to just let the two of you decide who should take the next couple of questions. But the question is, can the forms within Propel be fully customized to include different options and designs per service request?
Yeah, good question. I can go ahead and take that one. So, yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes. We can customize the forms in Propel to do a lot of different things. And in fact, like Vesna mentioned, we do have support for dependent dynamic options as well with Propel 2.0 and beyond. So we're able to plug in different data sources, whether those be databases or REST endpoints, to populate the data in those fields as well. You know, obviously wiring that up to whatever fulfillment engine you have is, you know, extra work that might be involved with the offering from that system of record potentially. But yes, you can customize the form fields, the form layout, and how they get presented to the end user.
And CJ, just kind of jumping to the, I'm skipping over one question that we'll go back to, but how easy is it to customize the screens or to add new functionality?
It's quite straightforward. There's kind of 3 levels of customization that we support. The first would be customization of the presentation of the offering itself, which is a user interface that you can interact with for each offering. So in other words, you can go in there, click on an offering, and adjust, you know, the form field layout, the gallery, the description, and you can even localize the presentation in that area as well. The next level of customization has to do with the theme or the actual applications themselves. So you can use our SDK to change the entire look and feel and presentation of the catalog as well. You can also keep that scoped down to a tenant inside of the deployment itself as well. So you have a lot of different adjustments you can make to that user interface, all the way from the offering up to the theme and presentation of the entire catalog. So there's a lot of adjustments you can make. We did try to make sure that the out-of-the-box experience was fantastic, though. So we didn't want that to be a requirement of a deployment, but you do have that capability if you want to.
Okay, thanks. The next one is, can one use Propel to log a single request for multiple service recipients? So if one orders a new laptop for 10 new employees, for instance.
Yeah, to a certain extent you can. So Propel 2.01, unfortunately we didn't get a chance to go through much more of the demo there. I apologize for the disruption from the fire alarm here, but we did add the ability to do request for. And you can add many different, you can add a laptop to your shopping cart many times if you wanted to, for example, and then the request for or request on behalf allows you to enter the recipients in there. Based on, you know, the permissions of the system, you can determine, you know, who you're selecting those for. By default, it uses, you know, your LDAP attributes to determine, you know, if you're a member of a group, and if you're the manager of that group, that determine, you know, for whom you're allowed to request on behalf of. But yes, that capability does exist.
Okay, thanks. The next one is, you know, since ESS does not allow conditioning, can you use ESS to manage your catalog items, but use the Propel admin tool to add conditioning or dynamic questions to those items?
That's an interesting question. That one's a little bit tough to tackle because really kind of what we're talking about there is a very blended experience. You know, Propel isn't designed to be the administration tool for ESS. It's designed to, you know, administer the offerings that you're using inside Propel. So, you know, that might be a possibility for an existing deployment, but it's not really made that way. ESS is not the administration tool for ESS, and ESS likewise is not the administration tool for Propel. You know, rather each is responsible for their own presentation of offerings. If you have something that requires some of the dynamic options, you know, your best bet is to use the Propel portal for that use case.
Okay. And then the next one is actually a repeat. Could you, Desna or CJ, could one of you again kind of repeat the differences between Propel and Helion?
Yeah. So that's also an interesting question, but both are in two different areas, right? So the Helion, and Helion is really a brand name for a wide range of offerings from HP, but really that encompasses the cloud-based offerings. Propel is, a service broker, and one of the things that we can broker are Helion offerings. So a Helion offering, like I said, can encompass anything from large cloud system appliances to subscribable managed cloud instances to lots and lots of different things. But basically those are different offerings. And the way that the two are positioned is one is a place that you can go to get access to those, and the other is the actual things that you're getting, right? So Helion offerings would be a system of record, for example, and Propel would be the system of engagement. It would be where you go to interact with those services. I didn't get a chance to demonstrate the subscription user interface, but that's where I would interact with my Helion-based services. I could view the subscriptions for those and restart servers, for example, from my Propel portal. So they do very, very different things, and they're in entirely different spaces, but they work very, very well together, and it's an important part of that entire service brokerage story from HP.
Okay, thanks. And we only have a couple of questions left. So can you add a totally custom-built module or widget?
Yes, of course. Yeah, and again, I wish I could demonstrate here, but yes, you can drop in. There's two areas that you can extend the portal in that direction. One would be widgets. So we support an interface that allows you to drop in HTML or JavaScript code directly into the tenant configuration of a portal. That's nice because you can, it's a user interface for that. It's not a, you're not having to cut hard code that goes into the system. It's an easy extension point for the portal. But we also have an SDK, which we covered in previous seminars, called Jumpstart, which allows you to create entire microservices that are automatically integrated with the rest of the Propel deployment architecture and allow you to build from the ground up an entire application that uses our identity management service, uses our themes, a lot of, has access to our APIs, for example, in a much more efficient and cost-effective fashion. So both are different routes you can use to customize the experience that you have for Propel.
Okay, thanks. And we had another one. Can we create X number of carts for X number of employees at once?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. The short answer is not really. I know for other HP products you can have pre-configured carts. Propel doesn't really work that way. A cart is something that's oriented around my user session. I think the way that carts have been used in the past for other products is to create, pre-configured bundles, basically. And that's not really how they're used in Propel. In Propel, it's much more akin to a cart would be something that you would use like at Amazon, where you're interacting with that session and adding services and support items to that and working with it, rather than something you pull up to and it's already pre-filled for you. It's just a different paradigm, and it's just not really how Propel works relative to the pre-configuration of those, effectively those would be bundles in my mind.
Okay. And can you modify a subscription once you're subscribed to it?
You can. That's a cool feature that we added in 2.01, which shipped at the beginning of this month. And, the subscription microservice we added in July, and the ability to interact with those services was added in early September, late August. So you can do node-level actions. The actions, of course, are defined by the service itself, whatever that might be. For the most part, these are CSA services, so you would define an action on a node that says supports restart, or an action that says add server, And if you've done those to the service offering, then you have those actions now available to you in Propel. So that's a new capability and really starts to complete that subscription microservice user experience. It makes it much more viable and usable for our customers. So it's, we've gotten good feedback on that, and I know that's been something that customers have been clamoring for and asking for quite some time. So we were really excited to add that capability.
Okay, we had a couple of more questions, but we're running short on time, and because of the disruption, I just wanted to make sure that we wrap this up with asking Terry if we will be able to schedule another session for the demo. Terry, are you there?
Yes, Robbie, I am. Thank you. I will have to check into that. We'll see about maybe it's something we can send out a link to all those that have registered, and perhaps I can work with CJ about getting that available to them. And also, just for some of the questions that CJ was not around for, just to point out that the webinar recording, as well as the slides, and also a written Q&A document will be available on the Vivit website. And you'll get a link to that site in the next following days. So let me find out about the rescheduling for the demo. Or CJ, do you have any ideas of how we might direct them to? Is it something that could be posted for them?
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I guess obviously there's lots of technical solutions to this problem. But you know, what we have available to us in terms of the Vivit stuff, I'm not sure. I can't really answer that. But I can say we would be more than happy to record a demo and you know, post a link to that video. You know, and obviously, if any of you have individual requests, we're more than happy to fulfill those as well. So we'll figure out some sort of solution to the problem. I apologize for the disruption from the building here, but not much I could do about that. We'll figure out some way to get the demo available to people.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We did get to most of your questions. There were a couple of questions very specific to licenses. If we did not get to them, please send an email to Vesna or CJ. And don't forget that in December, we have Discover coming up in London, December 1st through 3rd. There's a lot of information starting to come out about it. More will be coming. The link to register is on your screens. And, of course, we'll have more details coming out about Vivit breakout sessions. We have a survey online. It's at www.vivit-worldwide.org. And if you need more information, you can always go to hp.com or the Vivit website. CJ and Vesna, thank you. Terry, is there anything else we should cover before we wrap up this session?
That should just about cover it, Robbie. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Stay tuned for how to access the demo.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.